Hello my friends, I'm Jessicat, and welcome back to the Mountain Queen realm for another episode of Uncut Ramblings, the series where I ramble and I don't make any edits to the video, and as a result things can get kind of long-winded, but I talk about stuff and things in the real world, and I don't really focus so much on what I'm doing in Minecraft. So yeah, today's topic is one that I actually wrote an essay about in high school. Those of you who have been following the channel will know that I am now in college, but this was a relatively recent essay, and I wrote it as it was a descriptive essay. It was an essay where it was not a descriptive essay, my bad. That was another essay we wrote. It was an interpretive essay. Why am I trying to get up this hill this way? This seems very counterproductive. This is better. Yes, it was an interpretive essay, which means you take some aspect of some part of the world around you and you interpret it. You read way too far into it, is basically what you do. And what I read way too far into when I wrote this essay was the word blue and the word bleu, which is the French word for blue, in case you didn't know. And have you ever seen on like a menu or even just like a list of cheeses or somewhere where cheese is mentioned, the words blue cheese, but blue is spelled B-L-E-U. Well, that's the French word for blue, and what I talked about is Americans' tendency to spell blue that way when blue cheese, UE, is also, in my opinion at least, perfectly acceptable. And I talked about that, and I overanalyzed it. And that is what I want to do today. In today's episode, we're going to be overanalyzing the use of French words in the English language and what that means and in terms of society and what we as humans think of other cultures. Hello there, friend. I'm not going to bother with you. You shouldn't be here at this time of day, but I'm not going to bother with you. Oh, by the way, the reason we're heading in this direction is because I have a hunch that this will lead me to the dot on the treasure map, because this, this dot is clearly really far away, and I headed really far in this direction, and I remember picking up a map, so that is why I think we should be heading this way. I heard a zombie, so I'm just not gonna go in that direction. So let me start by talking about the American dream. We all know about it, right? I don't think there's a person alive who is not, unless you're completely disconnected from civilization, like you're one of those tribes in the rainforest that is just not at all connected to modern civilization. Unless you're one of those people, you will probably have heard of the American dream in some form. And I don't, like, whatever you think about the American dream, I think there are definitely some common ideas about it that we can all agree upon. You know, the definition of it being that anyone who comes to the United States can be successful, can make a living, and not only that, have a good living, really make a lot of money, become famous, whatever they want they can have. It's at their fingertips. As long as they work hard and they're determined, they can reach their goal, whatever that goal happens to be. That's the American dream, right? And the key to this, the thing that I really want to talk about, is the word American. It's right there. And, the idea is that America, specifically the United States, is this special place where this is the only thing, this is the only place where this can happen. That's why it's called the American dream and not just the dream. Although, I would argue that the American dream can probably happen elsewhere as well, and it really, but it could still be referred to as the American dream, as that concept of reaching success. But anyway, that's getting off topic. I get off topic a lot in these videos, in case you haven't noticed. So, yes, the American dream. It's what a lot of people are striving for, really. It's what a lot of people dream of. Duh. I need to stop repeating myself here. And it's part of what makes the United States seem like this almost, I want to say, mythical place. This unreal place where they're the streets are paved with gold, and, like I said, anything is within reach. As long as you have the willpower, anything is possible. That's the whole idea. And as a result, I feel like the United States tends to be idealized. Now, look, I know that making a blanket statement like that is almost certainly not going to be true, especially given that there are a lot of people in the world. Not all of them are going to share the same opinion. And obviously, there are a heck of a lot of things wrong with the United States of America. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying this place is perfect. It is definitely not perfect. It is just about as far from perfect as you could possibly get. And I will stand by that opinion. I'm not one of those patriots who thinks, oh my gosh, this is the best place ever. I disagree with that. But I will say that I would much rather be living in the United States than in some war-ravaged country where disease and famine are widespread and I don't know where my next meal is coming from. And I know that's the situation of some people in the United States. I'm not, not trying to completely exclude people here. I'm just saying, like, you know, most Americans, I think I can safely say most Americans, are pretty well off. Oh, hey, look, there's ice over there. I think that means I've been here then. Yeah, look, it just disappeared. Yeah, I've definitely been here. And that looks like a shipwreck, but I'm guessing that if it is, then it's one I've already explored. Hey, look, the dot's getting bigger. Or am I just imagining that? No, I'm pretty sure the dot's getting bigger. Hey, did you see that? That was ice on the horizon, I think. As it's loading in, it's also disappearing, I think, but I think that's a good sign. I think it means we're heading in the right direction. So that's good. That's very good. We will hopefully find this buried treasure. Is that ice on the horizon over there as well? It looks like it. No. Oh. Oh, wait, yes it is. Hey, I've been here, apparently. Or someone else with Frostwalker has. Remember, this used to be a multiplayer world before I converted it to single player. Anyway, gosh, I'm getting off track. Sorry. So, we're a mess. This country is a mess, and I will acknowledge that. There are a lot of problems with it, but I think there are also a lot of good things about it. And, oh, that's monsters. Let's sleep, shall we? If we can. That would be nice. There we go. So, we are a place that a lot of people dream about because the reality is that even though it's a mess, it's a lot better than some of the alternatives. So that's, that's part of the American dream right there is this place being better than the alternatives. And so that's, we've got this whole idea surrounding us. And I think that's really interesting. And I also think it's interesting how we sort of put that same idea of the American dream on other countries and other cultures. So let me now talk about French culture, and this applies to a lot more than France. France is definitely not the only culture that this is done with, and not the only country that is talked about in this way. But I am part French, and I have lived in France, and so that's the country that I feel most comfortable talking about, and the country that I feel like I know the most about. I just saw Drowned down there. I hope he's not going to come attack us, although, I have this gear. I'm not too worried. So yes, France is oh, we're loading the map. We're loading the map. We're getting so close. That's awesome. And it looks like the treasure is like squarely inside a piece of land, which is very interesting. Oh, hey, my ice is on the map. That's funny. Okay, so... Oh, it's other ice. That's interesting. Okay. So, yeah. France has, people in the United States have a very interesting idea of France. And it's kind of... There's this concept that France is fancy and France is sophisticated. Which way do I need to go to get onto this map? Is it this way? I'm really not sure. I think I'm heading in the right direction. Or am I heading in exactly the wrong direction? No! Okay, good. Alright, great, we're making progress. So, sorry, what was I saying? I keep getting distracted. Did I already try to dig a hole here? No, that looks like something else. Okay, hi zombie. Oh, there's a ship. Have I visited this ship? I think this looks familiar. I feel like I've been here before. Wait. Oh. Wait a second. This does not look like a good place to search for buried treasure, honestly. It looks like a very dangerous place to search for buried treasure. Very dangerous. Yeah. Yeah, I don't want to fall down there. There's a mine shaft. That doesn't sound fun. And yet, it looks like it's, like, literally right here, which is hilarious. Yeah, it's like right in front of me. It's in the middle of the hole, isn't it? That's just great. Why couldn't it be anywhere else? Why is it in the middle of the hole? Oof, I got scared there for a sec. Okay. Or it's right below my feet. I could try digging here. Why not? So, we just gotta be careful because it might collapse at any second, so maybe I'll place another solid block underneath me for a sec. Here. Before I dig. That was bad. That if that had triggered all the sand and made it all fall, that would have been bad. So, yes, French culture is seen as really, like, fancy, right? And I think I can safely say that. I don't think anyone's going to disagree with that at all. You know, France is this beautiful romantic place, especially Paris. You know, Paris is the place of love. You know, that's just a really common stereotype, I think. And it's always been really interesting to me because, you know, I've grown up as partly a French person, and I've grown up with French culture just being this normal thing to me, and so having it idealized in that way is just really odd. It's just doesn't make much sense to me, honestly, because I don't really get the appeal. I mean, you know, there's beautiful architecture, sure, but you can find that anywhere. You can find that in the United States, you can find that in Italy, you can find it in Yugoslavia, I'm sure. Is that still a thing? Is Yugoslavia still a place? I don't know. I'm horribly out of touch with geography and politics, so I apologize if I've just said something ridiculous. Yeah, see. Oh, hey! That was really easy. Ooh! Look what we've got here! Okay, I am very happy about that. This is a good haul. And a diamond to boot. Hey, this was totally worth it. Okay. Gosh, I'm getting so off track. Man, okay. So, should I get this coal while I'm here? I kind of want to explore the mine shaft too, but spiders, man. Yeah, especially not while I'm trying to talk. It's probably a bad idea. Okay, one piece of coal. Fine, let's get out of here. Let's go back. Let's go home. Which way is home? I think home is this way. Whoa, let's not fall down into some pit or anything, please. Okay. So yeah, it's weird to me that people kind of idealize French culture. And, you know, French words are seen as sophisticated, like I said a second ago, or many minutes ago. Blue cheese, if it's spelled B-L-E-U, somehow I feel like that seems a lot more sophisticated to people than spelling blue B-L-U-E, even though they're functionally the same word, it's just that one has a very different connotation than the other, and so people prefer to use the French version because that makes it sound fancy. Why the heck does it make it sound fancy? I don't know, but we're gonna get into that. Well, here's the thing about France. People love to go on, like, honeymoons there, right? It's a great place to go when you've just gotten married, which is, that's fun, that's cool. I mean, if you want to go there and enjoy themselves when they just got married, sure, fine. I mean, if you want to go there and enjoy yourself anytime, that's fine. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying it's weird that it's placed on this pedestal. But French people, in my experience, are really rude. Like, I've lived there for a few years, maybe it's just because I spent middle school there, and middle school, as we all know, is a very, like, troubling time for everybody, and nobody enjoys middle school. But even the adults just seemed really rude. Like, in my experience, French people are just ridiculous. Whoa. Rubber banding? Okay, this is a bit scary. Okay, we're back on. We're back on track, we're good. Yeah, they swear a lot. The French people have, like, a lot of swear words. Like, you think Americans swear a lot? You think Americans have some creative swear words? Man, you haven't heard anything. It's crazy. And I actually, while I was in middle school there, and again, this could totally just be a middle school thing. It's totally anecdotal evidence, and, you know, don't necessarily put any stock in what I'm saying here, but while I was in middle school there, I remember very vividly, multiple times, like, refusing to swear because my parents just don't think don't think my siblings should swear, and they don't think I should swear, and so I kind of was just, like, adhering to that, and everyone else was like, "What the heck, you don't swear? Like, who are you? What's wrong with you?" And people would try to get me to do it. Sometimes they would just nag me, trying to get me to do it, and sometimes they would try to trick me, like, the word for seal in French sounds a lot like a very different word in English. And some people tried to get me to say the French word for seal, and they were like, it's fine, it's just the French word for seal. And I was like, come on, dude, you really think that that's what you really think that I think that that's what you're trying to get me to say? I know you're trying to get me to say something else. Just leave me alone, please. And they just would not leave me alone about it, and I didn't get it. But it's just like, because swearing is such an ingrained part of the culture that it's just seen as, un-French and just abnormal to not do it, which is really crazy to me. And I'm not saying swearing is bad. I did a whole video on this. I did a whole video on my opinions on swearing, and that video can be summed up by I don't think swearing is bad, but I don't think people should do it as often as they do. That's basically the entire content of that video right there. So I don't think swearing is a problem. I just think it's hilarious that people think France is this cultured, wonderful place when, like, in my experience, it's been the exact opposite. And also, the food is good, but so I can see that aspect of it. I will admit that I love French food, and it's fabulous, and I would highly recommend it to anyone who hasn't tried it. But at the same time, people say French is like the language of love, and I just don't understand that. I mean, it doesn't sound great to me. Maybe that's just because I was raised hearing it and speaking it, but it just I mean, it's so complicated and annoying. Honestly, there's so many finicky grammatical rules that make zero sense. But also, I just don't think it sounds romantic at all. I don't think it sounds pretty. But again, that could just be me. And if you think French sounds pretty, then by all means enjoy it. I'm not trying to ruin your enjoyment of French here. I'm just trying to elucidate a question that really perplexes me. So there's that. Then there's the fact that, like, I don't know if you've ever been to Paris or if you know anything about Paris, but there's the river that runs through it, the Seine. It has a lot of bridges over it, and some of those bridges are just covered, absolutely covered, like unbelievably so, with locks. So it's a symbol of your love for another person to, like, go onto a bridge with that person, and then you lock a lock onto the bridge, and then you throw away the key. You throw it into the river usually, which is, by the way, it probably has a terrible impact on the river, and I don't like that idea, but okay. And as a symbol of love, I see that, I get it, but they've had to, like, take down some of the railings and like rebuild them and melt all the locks off and crazy stuff like that, and some of them even have like wood along them now, so you can't lock locks onto them anymore. So people are just really obsessed with locking locks onto this bridge. Like, there's just this crazy amount of romance-related stuff that goes on in France that I just don't understand. Like, why is France any more romantic than anywhere else? And here is where I get into a little bit why I think that happens. I think that the ideal, the way we see other cultures like France, but many other cultures as well, like Italy and Spain, and a lot of different places. The way we see those and the way we idealize them, it reflects our own self-loathing, I think. It reflects the fact that to us Americans, we are kind of terrible. We are, we're fat. Like, that's a common stereotype about Americans, right? We've got all this processed food, and we eat all this terrible stuff, we don't exercise, and so we get fat, and all the Americans are obese. That's just a common stereotype. That's just, it's not necessarily true, but it's true that there's a lot of obesity in this country, so to that extent, I would say that stereotype has a basis in fact. Am I still heading in the right direction, by the way? I have no idea. So, I think that stereotype is to some extent reflected in our views of ourselves. I'm gonna put up the coordinates on the screen real quick. Yeah, it seems like I'm heading in the right direction. Although I might need to go this way a bit. I don't know. Birch forest. There's a birch forest near where I live, but this does not look familiar. So yeah, we see ourselves as fat. We see ourselves as, like, crude, I guess. Brutish is the word I've written down in my notes here to try to keep myself on track. Primitive is the word I'm looking for, I think. We're kind of, messy is the way we see ourselves. And I think that's just a self-confidence issue, honestly. I think it's just the classic, not even, It's just a human thing to think, to compare yourself to others and to see, oh, these people do this thing better, therefore they must do all things better, and I am just terrible, and I am just a piece of trash, and I do not deserve to exist. I think that's just a common human condition, and I couldn't tell you why that is. I really couldn't. I don't know why we do that, but I think it's a commonly agreed upon fact that we do, and I think what that causes, in part, and this is only one of the very, very many effects, is self-loathing expressed through idealization of other cultures. Cultures that aren't your own, because you can point at them and go, those people are a lot better than me, and I will never be those people, but they're really cool. And, I think that's cool to some extent, but it's not great for our own happiness, right? Oh, hey, spruce forest. There's also a spruce forest near where I live. I think I've gone past home somehow. Okay, we'll just keep wandering around here till we find something that looks familiar. And I think that overall, the use of French words, let me try to think of some other examples. I'm pretty sure a lot of, like, art and like dancing terms are derived from French, like arabesque, stuff like that. They're French words, and they sound so pretty, right? Or the word bizarre. I know the word bizarre is derived from French, and sometimes we'll say weird, and I feel like weird is to American as bizarre is to French, if you know what I mean. Like, bizarre feels like the elegant version, the eloquent version, if you will. And weird is just our, like, American, like, stupid way of saying strange. Like, I don't know if you understand what I mean. I don't know if I'm making any sense here. I said this a lot more eloquently in my essay, but I think that there's a big difference in the connotations of the words, even though they technically have the same dictionary meaning. And I think in general we ascribe a very positive, an oddly positive connotation to French words and French culture and France in general. And that's just because well, they have a lot of culture. Their country is older. They have had what we consider modern civilization for a lot longer, and so there's just this sense of history and this sense of importance in French culture. I have definitely gone way too far. I need to head back in this direction quite a ways. Do I have food? I think I just picked up some food from that treasure chest, which is convenient, but I'm running out, which is not convenient. Hopefully we can get back on 3 cooked salmon. So yeah, there's that. And there's also just, I suppose you could also tie it back to the fact that us Americans, the United States developed from British colonies, from other colonies as well. There were other people here before that, of course, but it was largely developed as a British colony, and that's what we grew out of. And so I feel like we still feel like we owe this debt to the old world, like we're still their underlings in some respect, which feels weird to say, but I feel like we do still have that respect for the old world, if you know what I mean. And so those are just some thoughts on the relationship. Oops, my little flux thing came up on screen. I'm not going to cut this out of the video, but yeah. Yeah, I feel like we still have this awe and respect for something that is cool, but does not deserve to be idolized over so many other cool things. Like, the United States is pretty cool, I think. And other countries are also pretty cool. I'm not excluding other countries here. I'm just saying, hey, we're pretty cool. And we don't need to act like everyone else is cooler than us. And you know what? I'm lost and I'm done talking. I've exhausted all my talking points. So I think I'm just going to end it off here, despite the fact that I have not gotten home. And I will hope... Oh, boy, great. I'm close to spawn, is what this means. How did I get so far off track? Off track. No pun intended. I can follow this in one direction. I'm not sure which direction I need to follow it in order to get back home. Okay, this is the wrong direction. This is the right direction. This will lead me back to 0, 0 in that little, like, spawn area we have. So I think I'm just gonna follow the rail line here. That's good. And yeah, that's gonna be all I have to say. And hopefully you enjoyed this little discussion. Let me know in the comments if you did. Let me know what you thought. Let me know what your thoughts are on the word blue versus the word bleu, and fancy words in other languages. Or if you think I'm totally wrong, please tell me, and I would love to have a discussion with you in the comments. I always love having discussions with people about this stuff. That's how we learn and we grow. Will do my best to, and I'm losing my voice apparently, which is not great, but I will do my best to keep an open mind whenever I read the comments. By the way, in case you don't know, you probably don't, I've never said this in a video, I read every single comment that is left on my channel, every single one. They're actually all held for review, and I never get rid of any of them. I always let them through, but I just like seeing the comments as they go through, and I don't want to miss one. So if you leave a comment, it will be read by me. Even if I don't reply, it will be read. I just want to reassure you of that. Hey, I could take the skeleton horse. That would be cool. I'll leave him alone for now, though. I'll just remember that he's here. So yeah, if you want to leave a comment, I will definitely read it. I don't know if I'll be able to reply, but I'll definitely read it. And we are arriving at the spawn area, so I'm just going to say goodbye. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next week. Bye!